Hello, America, and everywhere else in the world. Welcome back to a brand new edition of Corey Has a Guest. This month, I was joined by DeNoia. He is a comedian. He creates amazing content on social media. He does amazing impressions. But we also, apart from being funny guys and being nerdy guys, we really nerded out. We also talk a little bit about, self-love and growth and just being on your own journey of becoming a better version of you. And I think everybody could take something away from that. So I hope you guys enjoy the show. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm sure you will too, because like I said, it's fucking awesome. All right, guys, later.
What were you nervous about? Or do you get nervous before all your podcasts?
Anytime I do something, I'm always like, I feel like nervous is the wrong word. I feel like the word is, I'm just so concerned with it being good that I think about all the outcomes, right? Like I think about like, this shit could suck, right? Or this shit could be, because see, the purpose of me starting Corey Has a Guest and an addendum to Corey Has a Podcast is I like that people kind of get to know me in a different way. But also, and it's just me, but also like bringing on people who like I could see that are doing really cool shit that I admire, and bringing them on and getting people to talk about what they like that's fun too, you know. And if I didn't have
it's tough, man, because like it's weird. Like as creative people, like we love attention, right? Like I fucking love attention, but when it comes to like talking about myself, it's weird. Like the same way where it's like, I feel the same way, dude. So it's like, you're one of those dudes where it's like our paths maybe have crossed at different times at the pit. And, but you just kind of know, like I call them magnetos, right? So like, You're like a type of magneto. Like when Corey walks into a room, it's like, oh shit, there's Magneto. And you draw people towards you. Now that's no knock on all the other X-Men and all the other funny people in the world. But like some people just walk in a room and it's like, oh shit, it's Beast. That's cool. He's smart, all that shit. It's cool. It's Beast.
No, I get it.
Like it is one of those things where it's like you're in the same circle with people for a long time, and it only takes until like you're kind of out of that circle a little bit to step back and be like, man, I wish I got to know that motherfucker better. I wish I got to like hang out with him a little bit more. And so those are the things that like I worry about. I don't really do podcasts that much, so it's weird to talk about yourself. Like because we're like naturally as people, right? Like if I tell you like I think you're special, dude. I really do. There's something about you where it's like we're so like quick to not like accept a compliment.
Oh,
right? It's
yeah.
You didn't even respond when I said that. I'm like, dude, you're a special motherfucker. And it's like we're so quick to like we're just saying like, oh, that fear of like if something's not good or not. Like we're so quick to fucking dismiss ourselves, man. It's like the first thing like when someone gives me a compliment, I'm like, oh shucks. It's like very rarely do we accept it and be like, you know what, thank you. Like we're so quick to find like the things that are not good. Where you're like, oh, I'm worried about like how like this listen will turn out, how this interview, this podcast will turn out. It's like, well, try and look at the good things, man. It's like, this could be awesome. Like the way I was looking at it is like, I'm going to get, by the end of this, no matter what, like I don't really go on that many podcasts. At the end of the day, I'm going to get to know Corey a little bit better. And that's frankly something I've been wanting to do. Because in the past year plus, like we've all been getting to admire people from afar. We don't get to spend any time with each other. And it gets you kind of like amped up for like when the gates are open and you are allowed to see other people. It's like, oh man, these are the people I want to surround myself with.
Very true. Very true. Dan, you nailed it too. I mean, even just now when you said to me, I'm special, and I appreciate that because it's and I've been watching your content from afar, laughing my ass off about it and being like, this is a guy that I've been in the same room with, same circles with, and we kind of like have crossed paths a bunch and never really had much time to, you know, get to know each other and just chill the way I did with quite a few other people, you know what I mean? So this was I was actually really excited to do this, and I was really happy that you agreed to come on the show. Also, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you might be wondering who that voice is, and I'll tell you who it is. It is Gary DeNoia. He creates this amazing content. He's one of the funniest motherfuckers that I fucking wish I knew better. And now we're doing it today, live, right in front of you. So
thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Bro, I'm a fan.
How it works? It's we're just conditioned to like shit on ourselves to where it's like now I'm even like learning to just like, oh man, like that just felt really fucking good to hear, because you know what? Like I do work really hard at it, and it's something I take a lot of pride in. Like to me, it's like it's a job. It's a virtual resume for me, my Instagram. It's a job, and I definitely treat it like that. And it's cool that people like you just all you can do is put your head down and make your shit, and it's like it's cool when people start to notice. It really, really is.
It's really fucking dope when people notice, because you care about it so much. Like you think about it, and you get inspiration throughout the day, and you write however you do it, it's always happening, and the wheels are always turning. It's nice to get recognition. I actually had a conversation last year with a friend of mine, and she was talking about how weird she is at accepting people liking her content and stuff. And I was like, sometimes it's just the best thing to do is just say thank you. Just be like, somebody's like gives you a compliment, tells you how fucking great they think you are, and just be like, thank you. Like, that's fine. That's not rude. I think people think that shit is rude, and I think people are afraid to celebrate how dope they are. I actually recently was talking...
I mean, especially, like, in any creative field, right? Because, like, inherently, we are self-conscious, and at the end of the day, we're jealous. So we even have a hard time admitting when someone's doing something awesome, because it's a reminder to us... or a reminder to you that like, oh man, I'm not on my shit the way this person is. And it becomes this cycle, and it doesn't have to be that way. Like we audition for something, like unless it's someone that looks like exactly like me, I don't look at anybody that we know as competition. You know what my biggest competition is, man? It's fucking me.
That's it, bro. That's
it, man. It's like it really like all those cliche like white women signs that you find in Target, like live, laugh, love, and all that stuff. It's as you get older, man, you realize like that shit is true. It really is me versus me. And
it really is. All those cliches are true. Cliches exist for a reason. Stereotypes exist for a reason. You know, and it's speaking to that actually. So a lot of times you do the this dubbed over with a Philly accent and shit. And I always thought you were from Jersey. Are you from Philly?
Dude, that's like the biggest compliment and misconception is like, honestly, I've only been to Philly a few times. But so I love the city. There was a time where it's like, especially like, because this isn't new. I've been doing like videos like anywhere from 1 day a week to every day for like the past 3 years. And like, to be honest, it's like there's no greater oversaturation in the industry than a straight white guy in their 30s. So it's like, what can I do that other people don't do? So in addition to the impressions, I would start to look up regional accents for characters and be like, I don't really see anyone doing a Philly accent. Let me try it. And it's very difficult. And I just did one video, and then a friend, like a pit person who's now in LA, was like, wow, like, are you from there? Because it sounds like that. And I was like, no, wait, dude, all right, that's fucking awesome. I fucking love you for it. And you just keep going. And then in the past year, it's caught on so much. And I think the thing that I love so much about it is it's like, you know, if you can, like they say, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. But I think if you can handle criticism from people in Philadelphia, you can handle criticism from fucking anyone, because they're harsh, man. So the fact that they like, and I think a lot of those people think that I'm from the area. It's like the greatest compliment that people from a city that's notoriously a little bit harsh, that they like your stuff. Nah, man, I'm a born and raised Jersey guy. Union, which is like central northish Jersey, and then I moved to Hoboken. I've been in Jersey City for like 7 years. So no, I'm not from the area. It's just like I take pride in it too. So like I do my research. and all of that. And it's cool to see that like people like it. It's like I was never expecting them to go viral, but now they all kind of do, which is like it's pretty wild.
Bro, I'm telling you right now, I watch your shit and I'm laughing. That's another thing, right? Like appreciating people that are, you know, we're kind of all trying to do different things in our own way and we're pursuing our dreams. It's like I literally watch a lot of my friends and I'm just like fans of them, and I watch your shit and I'm fucking dying, bro. Like you did this Pitbull accent and I was just like, yo, this shit is spot on, Mr. 305.
Dude, it's like, once again,
I'm
it's
like, this is good. So
like nobody else does that. So it's just like, and my thing with impressions, man, it's like, so for example, be like, hola, 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 it's Mr. 305, it's Mr. Worldwide, dale, dale. It's like, some of my impressions are awesome. Some of them are not that great. And some of them are passable. Like, you would know who it was. And that's the cool thing about impressions, where it's like, if the voice is fucking spot on, you forgive all the other stuff. If the voice isn't spot on, you have to bring the mannerisms. It's because it's like I look at it as like a triangle offense. It's like the voice, the mannerisms, and then ultimately what we learn in improv and sketch, like a point of view. So like when I do Vin Diesel, like Vin Diesel's actually a really smart guy, but like my point of view of him is I play him like he's a big fucking idiot. You know what I mean? So it's like that's how my take on it. So where if it's like he doesn't like 100% sound like Vin Diesel, but like I totally like. You know, I get this guy's character.
Yeah, and it comes through though, and I think it's like it's so funny because so many people do. You're gonna hear a Christopher Walken, right? You're gonna hear like there's a lot of there were so many Donald Trumps. You know what I mean?
DeNoia.
It's like, and putting all those guys, and it's like, which I'm sure you could fucking nail all of those things, but seeing some of the ones you pick is just like kind of obscure in a really cool way. I'm like, this dude, like, because impressions are funny to me, because even if you're not telling a joke, if you like nail an impression, that shit is hilarious, because you're like, yeah, this person really does do that, you know, or sound like that, or
you're absolutely right. It's like it's fun to like even be able to. I'm trying to think of like an example. Like at first, Ray Liotta was just like the only thing I could really do was the laugh.
That was a good one.
And when you're doing these 15-second videos, it allows you to like be funny enough, but not long enough to the point where the flaws in the impression can be exposed. And then during the whole pandemic thing, I was like, you know what? Like, let me try and let me just try and expand it, because I was doing the same ones for a while. And I just think like in anything, like you got to continue to adapt and evolve. So I was like, I just started looking up like British actors that I like, because like I'm not really good with British accents, but it was just fun to like, you know what, let me try Daniel Radcliffe. Let me just start with that. And then at first just started with hello, and then like you're just you go from there. And it's just fun to not, like what you were saying, like we frequently prevent ourselves from doing the thing because like whether you're worried about it being perfect or you don't think it's ready. Newsflash, motherfucker. Sorry if you hear trucks driving by. I live on a street corner. But newsflash, like things will never be perfect. Like on my whiteboard of cliches, it's like my biggest thing that I have is perfection over progress. What you do, your podcast, my videos, it's no different than like I have a Mamba mentality, man. It's no different than that, where it's like, was Kobe skilled? Yeah. But why was Kobe one of the greatest? Because while you were sleeping, he was on the court practicing the fadeaways. So when there's 3 seconds left on the clock, he doesn't even have to think about it. It's ingrained inside him. So when he steps back for that fadeaway, he knows it's fucking going in.
Yep.
So this is our version of like standing at the free throw line, just shooting hoops. So like I went back the other day and looked at some of my like first videos from maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, and I was like, oh man, they're okay. They're not really that good. But now it's like I've been doing them so long. Like in the past 3 or 4 years, I've probably done like over 300 videos. Where it's like,
that's impressive.
It's just like you're just used to it. Where it's like that Mamba mentality, where it's like I'm not missing.
Well, the amount of people too that obviously we see come and go, people that start projects and don't finish them, and people that kind of will fall off. It's so impressive to me to see people that just don't ever give up. I'm one of those people too. I really like, if I start doing something, I'm not gonna stop doing it. I'm gonna do it every day. I don't give a fuck if I'm sick. I'm doing it as like until I decide I'm gonna lay this shit to rest. This is what I do. So like it is super admirable, and yeah, that Mamba mentality. It's like, but why do you think people give up?
I think as we get older, I don't know, like I know you're younger than me. Like I'm gonna be 37 next week. I think like the age, right, is like people, like some people's priorities change. Where it's like some people want to start a family. Some people like it. Corey, as I'm sure you can attest to, it's like it wears you the fuck down, man. It really does. I always thought like the longer you're in the game, like the easier it gets. It gets harder. In a sense, like where like you get rejected at auditions and stuff, like you become immune to that. But just like the grind of like, you used to get off the subway and be like, I'm in New York City, wee. And now it's like you get off the subway and it's like, this fucking place smells like shit.
Yeah, the shine wears off a little.
I rearranged my whole like work day around this audition that I'm probably not gonna fucking get, and I'm doing it on my lunch hour, so there goes lunch. And it's like you have to like, it conditions you to being okay with like constantly like being like defeated. And there comes a point where it's like you can move past that and say, you know what, I've had enough. Or you could be like, like you're saying, it's like I don't have a backup plan. I don't know what else to do. So it's like one of these things where it's you have no other choice. You have to keep going. And like the uncertainty of like things may never happen. But I truly do believe that if you control the things you can control, where it's like you work really hard and you're just nice, because I don't think there's enough of that, not only in the industry, but like in the world in general. It's like, how could you ever be a dick to someone where it's like, we might look different, you and I, but it's like we all have our own personal hells that we live in every day that I don't know what's going on between your ears. So I think it's important. Like those are the things that are important to just work hard and be kind. But like some people just like, you like, how much shit can you keep eating? Like, for example, a lot of us work in the restaurant industry. Have you ever worked in the restaurant industry?
Yeah, I definitely have.
Okay, so it's like, it's so funny that like that and like creative career, it's symbiotic, where it's like acting, it's like rejection all the time. In the restaurant industry, it's you are conditioned to being treated like shit. And not only that, like being okay with it, not just from the customers, but from the managers that like to like deal with like that quick money, but then all the bullshit that comes with it. Like I haven't had a job since the beginning of the pandemic, restaurant job. And since like I've been out of it, like you definitely realize there is some serious PTSD involved. And I know like I will fucking never go back to that, because I hope people realize during all this, as I'm sure you do, it's like, I realize that like we are worth more than we give ourselves credit for. Like we're so good at like devaluing ourselves. And so not only was I dealing with that in the restaurant industry, you deal with that in the acting comedy world. It's like there's no win. It's like you're like those fucking like Indiana Jones shit where the walls are closing in. There's nowhere to turn, because like you need something. So people will trade that in for like certain, compromises, financial security, health insurance. Like we like, like even shit as little as health insurance, where it's like that can be enough to get someone out of the game, where it's like, I'm tired of being sick and not being able to like take care of myself.
Yo, it's so true.
Or hoping that nothing bad happens to you, where it's like that. Fuck, if I ever got hit by a car, I'd be like, Gary, walk this shit off. You gotta walk this shit off. Like Chris Rock would say in one of his old sets, like, put some Robitussin on it and just fucking get back to it. It's hard, It's like it's definitely difficult, and with doing what we do, like, comes along, like, everybody has their own like demons, I think the reason why I'm like headed in the direction I'm in, maybe, or part, like mostly, is like, I got clean and I kind of replaced one addiction with another. Like I wish I had this type of drive and dedication in my 20s. So now it's like I like do what I do at such a furious pace because I'm trying to make up for lost time.
Oh, absolutely, and congrats on getting clean, by the way, man.
Thank you. It's bittersweet because you are very proud of yourself, but what comes along with that is like there's a lot of shit you can't get back. There's a lot of bridges you burned that you can't necessarily repair. You got to build new ones. And going back to what we were saying earlier, like giving yourself at least a little bit of credit to be like, fuck, man, like Neil Gaiman, who's
I know Neil. Too, I know Neil Gaiman, Sandman, and all that.
Oh fuck yeah, dude! It's like, and that's another reason why it's like I just like was so excited to chop it up with you because we have like such similar interests.
Bro, when you said some shit about the fucking Falcon and the Winter Soldier being so important, I was like, yo, he's right, man.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that.
But Neil Gaiman's was like it has this quote, and I'm probably misquoting it. It's like, hell is the things you carry with you. It's not a place you go. So to just like 2 years later be like, man, like, and the worst part of that, dude, is just like, that's how I know I'm a pretty decent actor because I was always pretending that I was okay, that there was nothing wrong with me. Like, I don't think unless I admitted it, I don't think you would like in our community or whatever be like, oh, hey, like he was like a coke addict and like an alcoholic and like didn't want to like live,
Well, to be fair,
Gary DeNoia, who's always got a smile on his face, it's like,
yeah, for sure. Say? I mean, it was so normal. I mean, like if you think about the community and what we're involved in, it's kind of built in to be for like that excessive amount of drinking and drugs, and it's part of the night, right? Like it's part, you did the show and now you do the drugs. Like it's part of, it's just so built in and everybody's doing it, so it's so normal.
And not only that, man, like for me, the pit was kind of like college. So for me, I went to school at Seton Hall. The first 2 years I was like a pre-med major. I thought I wanted to be like a dermatologist, but that was just to like make my, to please your parents. And then I had taken a year off and I took an improv class at UCB. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then I went back to school and I saw like a poster on the wall for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And I was like, oh, this movie was fun. Like, let me audition for it. And that's how I kind of got started. So I didn't really like, college for me was like only like 2 years because I like made sure I like got out of there as quickly as I could. So the pit for me was college. But like, I want to tell one funny quick story. Like when I auditioned for this play, right? One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Hold on, I'm gonna let my cat outside.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a cat father as well.
I 3, man. This one is see, now he doesn't want to leave. He's a Game of Thrones cat. His name is Sir Jorah Meowmont. And
you know what's crazy? As much as we like a lot of similar shit, never watched Game of Thrones.
You know what? That is probably the most disappointing ending to a show ever. So much so to the point where I would never rewatch it. I haven't rewatched it because it's just like it's so fucking disappointing. Yeah, it's such a bummer. But like, so this story, right? It's like they give you like the director gives you parts to read, and then after like the break, they're like, you know what? You can read for whatever parts you want to read for. So me like fucking being stupid and cocky, I'm like, I want to read for McMurphy, which is Nicholson's part.
Yeah.
And at this time, I don't know shit about acting. I just know that I'm like a little bit funny. Like I know that I can like the level 1 at improv UCB or whatever. It's like I knew that I could do this. And like a total jerk off, Corey, I have like the script in my hand and I'm doing a fucking Jack Nicholson impression. Like, I'm not acting. I'm just, like, basically, like, all right, everybody, here's the thing. Like, we're in a nut house, da-da-da. And, like, at least the director was kind enough to wait, like 3 or 4 reads later. It's like, guys, everybody's doing a great job. But I just want to throw this out there. Just be yourself. No Jack Nicholson impression. And
that's kind. That's kind.
Yeah. So it's like... And then I'm like, I totally embarrassed myself in front of all these theater people. Because Seton Hall is a small school and it's like a tight knit community. So I like felt like an outsider.
Seton Hall's got like a basketball program too, right?
That's the only thing they got, man. It's like they used to sell shirts in the bookstore, like Seton Hall football still undefeated because they've never had a football team. But like
that's actually
so. Sure enough, dude. I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm getting a part in this. Like, I totally embarrassed myself. I'll never fucking show up at this theater stuff again. And sure enough, I checked the wall, and like I had like a small part as like but a nice part as like one of like the two aides in the institution. Like in the play, it's just only like two aides, and they're both like assholes. So I like not only I got like a cool part and I get to be a part of this community, I get to play a bad guy, which is my favorite thing to do because I'm not like that, and it's always fun to turn it on and play a badass. So that's kind of like what got it started. So Pitt for me was college. Going back to what we were saying, or it's like some of my best friends I've met there. So you're saying like when it's like the show's over, you celebrate, you keep the party going, and there would be some nights where it'd be like I'd be there every fucking night until last call.
Oh, same here.
It's like we used to like Langston and I used to hosted that jam on Monday nights, Bass Jam. Whereas, like, I still to this day say it was the best jam that there ever was.
Bass Jam was a fun jam. I've done Bass Jam.
Dude,
before.
It was like a fucking party.
Yeah, it was.
On a Monday night. And now it's like I'm in bed by, like, the time that used to start. So it's like all that. It's one of those things where you can't be too hard on yourself because I feel like everything in life, we need to get that shit out of our system.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I needed to get like all that partying out of my system, kind of being an asshole out of my system, because when you get clean, you can look back on it and be like, if you don't learn anything from it, then you're fucked. But if you can like always anything in life come away from it with a lesson, that's why it's like winning is great, but I think losing is so important because it teaches you how to win.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think everybody realize like people like will just take an L, and it's like, no, there's a reason why it's called an L, because like the loss is like there's a fucking lesson. So I don't know how we got sidetracked with that, but like yeah, it was college for me. So it's like not only that, but when you combine it with what's even worse, fucking everywhere, man, these cars.
No worries.
But like you're like the one that we were talking about. I forget the gentleman's name. Like the podcast, like the one where I had reached out to you about how much I liked it.
Oh,
like you guys were like, yeah, that comes with the territory of living in the hood, where it's just like there's noise everywhere.
Oh yeah.
But like, is there an industry more incestuous and more chaotic when it comes to like drugs and alcohol than the service industry?
Probably not. I mean, like, because again, you said, and it's also symbiotic with entertainment, service industry, even retail. Like all that shit is, again, you're accustomed to being talked down to. You're accustomed to feeling like pressure and stress from management. You're accustomed to being treated like the help by customers, and then you go and you do your entertainment shit, which is you got your shit that pays your bills, and then it's like, but this is what I really want to do. And especially in your early 20s and mid 20s, you're like, well, this is also a big fucking party, so and you take advantage of that as well, because you're in the daytime, you're getting kind of shat on all day at work. It's like,
not only that, dude, it's like like my last restaurant job, which I actually liked, because after I I got clean, I actually got fired from this job. So like this was like my rock bottom, and I don't have a problem telling it. So this place I worked at in Chelsea was like the Wild West, as far as I've never met some servers that are like this wild, that are like have a good shift, dude, and they're dropping Molly at like 5:00. So I would get tuned up sometimes because it's like that's how you deal with it, right? And there was a film producer, not that well known. I was taking care of them. It was the end of the night, treating me like a total trash person, like servant, not server. So I'm like, fuck this guy. I start ordering drinks on his table. So I'm already tuned up. And there's this guy at the bar like causing a scene, won't pay his tab. And he starts getting aggressive and like borderline violent. So my manager is about like 5 feet tall, and she tries to get involved, and he like lunges after her. So I'm already like a little high, a little drunk, because I would go in the bathroom and do like, you know, key bumps just to like keep like put your game face on, because that's how much I hated waiting tables, is I had to like numb myself to do it. So anyways, I lose my temper and I start yelling at the guy, and I like, you know, I kind of like back him up against the wall, and cops come arrest him. And the worst part about all this, right, is like, you want to know how much, this is why I hate the industry. You know, this guy's tab was $10. Just like fucking let the guy go. So that's neither here nor there. But this restaurant was the type of place where the guy who owned it was a chef, and he lived there, man. He would check his security cameras all the time because he didn't trust anyone, rightfully so. So he's reviewing the security footage from the night before. And after I get out that night, my friends and I like went to the restaurant next door, just fucking blowing, just getting high all night. So I'm sleeping all day, and I get a phone call from the bartender, and he's like panicking. He's like, dude, we're fucking done. I just got fired. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, Frank saw the security footage. He saw me making you drinks and then giving you more drinks after. I'm just giving you a heads up, like, they're going to fire you. So I don't get any notice or anything like that, like where it's like nobody tells me that. But I go in and I see one server who's not on the schedule. She's there. So I'm like, and I'm walking down to my locker, and it's almost like that scene from Tommy and Goodfellas. Except
he thinks he's getting made.
He thinks he's getting made, but I knew like I was getting whacked right there. But it was like the worst moment of my life, because it's like the two managers, the owner, and they're watching the security footage as I'm walking in. And I look like such a fiend, right? I thought I beat the blind spot of the camera. I'm like crouched down like a fucking jerk off, just like drinking this tequila. And they just look at me, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, you're defenseless. You don't have anything to say. And this guy was like, clean your locker, get the fuck out of here. You're a thief. You're a piece of shit. And you have no fucking character. And Corey,
Yikes.
I was so fucking mad, because he was right. He was right. At that point in time, I was so far gone where like I didn't even recognize who I was when I would look in the mirror anymore, you know? And it was deflating, because like my work ethic in comedy, it's the same as in life. Like even like no matter what I do, even if I'm mopping a floor, like my work ethic is like, you know, in the kitchen, like guys used to call me El Blanquito Mexicano, like, you know, like I fucking hustle, man. And I'd never been fired before. And like after I walked out, like I'm just like walking to the PATH train, just like fucking, you know, crying. And your first instinct is, all right, I'm gonna go cop a bag, and I'm gonna go grab some drinks and just, you know, try and forget about it. And then like I got off the subway, and I'm like, Gary, like no more, like. If this like, and I had warning signs before, but this was like, I've never like lost, like I was able to handle my addiction and still pay my bills, pay my rent, all that stuff, take care of what I need to take care of, which is the worst part of it, because it makes you think you're in control of it.
That's what I was going to say. It makes you feel like it's not interfering with your professional life, so why is it a problem?
Yeah, and granted, it was interfering in my professional life. I would be high at shows and stuff. And not even because, like, some people do that shit because they think it makes them funny. It's just, like, I was just so depressed, and, like, my addiction was so far gone at that point where it was, like, I wasn't even excited to get on stage. It was more of, like, an obligation. So, it was, like, once again, you're just trying to fucking not feel all the shit you're feeling. So, I just, like, that day, like, 2 years ago, I was like, no fucking more. And to go back to like, so the job that I got, I was like, I can't work at night anymore. I can't do it because that has something to do with it. And I got a job at this place where I work breakfast and lunch at a really like nice place in the financial district, and a lot of famous people eat there. So like one of my things, Core, I always kind of get off track, and just like an improv, but I always know how to like come back to the beat. So,
yeah. I love that.
It's going.
I love that.
It's going somewhere.
I'm intrigued anyway.
I won't say like, so you're waiting on famous people all the time. Some of them are nice. A couple of them are incredible assholes. But the like, and this happened like maybe a month or so before I lost my job. And I'm not going to say the actress's name because I genuinely like want to work with her one day. And she wasn't mean by any chance. This was just the first time that I was just such a fan where I was like, I don't, you know, they don't want to be bothered and you don't want to like, you know, you don't do that. You're not supposed to do that. But like this time I was like, and she was there with her husband. I was like, hey, I just want to say I'm really big fans of you both. And, I have no problem being vulnerable, like, anymore. Like, once you get sober, it's like, if you can get through that, nothing else scares you. So I was like, I gotta be honest with you guys, I'm having a really terrible day today, where I'm, like, questioning kind of, like, if I should still be pursuing a career in acting. And seeing the both of you here, I feel like is just some sort of sign. And, like, you guys are being so nice to me. It just, you know, gives me the energy. I feel like, you know, I, like, thank you, because whether you realize or not, you pick me up. And she's like, that's really, you know, like, thank you for saying that. Just keep working hard. Keep doing your thing. Things are going to work out. But can you please check on our salads? Because we have somewhere that we need to be.
So legit.
And it's so like, and that is like just like both of those industries in a nutshell, where it was like, they weren't being dismissive to me at all. They were very nice. But at the end of the day, it's like, you still ain't shit. It's like that's your job. It's like, and you forget that. So it's like being put in your place in both industries, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's this Royce da 5'9" song. And he has this line. He says, always be professional. It's like at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing, like you said, you treat all your content and everything that you create, you treat it like a job, because it is your job, right? And eventually maybe you will be able to live off of it. And until then, you got to keep grinding. But it's like, sometimes we have these moments where we like let our guard down for a moment and we're just like, this kind of doesn't feel like work, so I'm not going to treat it like work or act like it's work. And then sometimes reality will just like slap you in the face again. Like, hey, wake up. Give me my fucking salad, you know?
Yeah, give me my fucking grilled chicken salad. It's, yeah, man, it's, but you know what? It's still, at the end of the day, I think it's a terrible thing to walk through life with your guard up. And sometimes, unfortunately, you know, like the traumas that we go through, like, you build those walls up. You do. And that's how you become, like, you isolate yourself and you start second guessing yourself. Like, no one will ever be meaner to you than you will be to yourself.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No, 100%.
So it's like, it really is finding that balancing act of like, all right, I'm going to show you my cards, not all of them. Because when I've showed you all my cards, they don't like the hand. But what I have learned now that I've been finding helps me comedy-wise, is that, like, once again, that, like, cliche shit is true. It's like, it's the first book they give you when you take improv, like truth and comedy. It's like,
yeah.
I've been finding the more truthful I've been being about myself, or injecting myself, like, into the sketches, characters, things like that I do, I find it's more relatable with other people, which is why, you know, there's all these followers and people sharing it and stuff like that, because it's like, oh, like, I can relate to that.
Yeah, well, people like that. People like your truth, because the thing is, people are interesting. People just watch so many other people who have done things before them and think they have to do it like them. It's like, no, your story itself is actually really fucking interesting. The shit that happened to you that you think no one wants to hear about, or you think people won't give a shit because it doesn't sound like something that's already out there in the fucking ethos. It's like, no, like, your story is unique, and people want to hear about it too. People want to see your
going
style.
Going back to like what you're saying, like before, just like how quick we are to just dismiss ourselves, like we think we're alone, all the time, and it's like, no, you are absolutely not. Which is why it's like, I'm a huge advocate of, like, you know, I hope you didn't miss it, because it was fucking amazing. It was on Versus. It was Redman versus Method Man.
You know, I didn't see that one.
Oh, dude, it was like DJ Scratch too. He was like on fire. But like they were talking about DMX, And like Meth started getting emotional because like Redman said it was like he was the only person to do songs with I think Tupac, Biggie, and DMX, and he's like, give me my fucking roses while I'm still here, because very often in life we don't learn these things until it's too late. So that's why it's like when I think someone's dope, or like I like what people are doing, or I see someone doubt themselves, because like there's nothing like of a bigger turnoff when you see someone you believe in, like just like post like something negative about themselves. And it's like that fine line, right? Because it's like you want to like be like, no, it's like you're not like don't feel that way, but you can't tell people to feel how they're feeling, and you know what it's like to feel that way. So finding that fucking balance, man. So it's like you have to let people know that you care about them and that they're doing a good job, because you never know. Someone could be like, that guy that just got fired at his restaurant job and like is having the worst day, and all it takes is like someone to say something nice to like totally change your shit up.
Yo, absolutely, bro. I say it all the time. I feel like it's our duty, especially if you're in a good place mentally and emotionally, it's our duty to share that. And because people need to hear good things. People need to be reminded. Sometimes you don't know what people's struggles are. Like you said, hell is the shit you carry with you. Like Neil Gaiman said, you don't know what people are walking around with. I actually haven't. I was one of those people that was at the pit every fucking night, and at Pioneers every night too. And I would just get like blackout drunk at least at least fucking 6 nights a week, And there was a couple of moments for me where I had gotten sent home from work, or my drinking had damaged a lot of relationships with friends and people I was romantically involved with and things like that. And I had this really stupid thing I would say, like, if I'm going to be with someone, they need to accept that I like to do this. And it's like, yo, if someone accepts that I like to do this to myself all the time, I shouldn't be with that fucking person. That person doesn't really care about me. And
dude, it's like it is like what you were just saying. That's like, that sounds like an enabler.
It isn't. I mean, it's like,
and I haven't an accomplice.
Yeah.
I'm sure what you love about your wife is it's like, which is what I love about mine, is like, if I'm fucking up, I'm gonna know about it. Like I like the truth. I like someone that pushes me to be better. Yeah. And there comes a point too where it's like you push, like you do push back, but then like you realize like, oh, this person's just doing this because they care for me. And dude, I totally know what you like, that experience is like, where there are plenty of relationships I've damaged, especially in dating scenarios. Where it's like it's the worst feeling in the world, because you can try and apologize, but it doesn't change what happened. You don't forgive yourself for what you did, but that person, they won't care, because they're all they're doing is processing the way that you hurt them. Then you learn to be like, kind of like come to it, like find peace in the fact that like, I can't forgive myself for this shit. All I can do is try and make amends. And if that doesn't work out, like all you can do, like you can't change your past. Just
forgiving yourself is super difficult too. And I feel like depending on who you are, what bothers you, you're going to carry, like I carry shit around. Like if I know I've wronged someone that I care about, I'll carry that shit around until I'm like, I never know necessarily when I'm going to get over it, but it'll just live in my mind for a while. Until I'm finally...
Oh, dude, it's like I have like a TikTok mansion full of like all that shit in my head. There's some shit I haven't let go from like high school.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's like especially things, like that.
I wish I could sit down.
What were you gonna say? You wish you could sit down and what?
No, I wish I could sit down and talk to some of those people from back then and just be like, hey man, listen, there was a different time in my life, and I'm sorry.
And you know what's so funny, dude? Like. And it's like, this is where it's like, I don't believe in coincidences. I was running errands this morning, and I'm standing outside smoking a cigarette, and I can see from the brim of my hat someone walking towards me, and it was someone that I was shitty to and like totally ruined our friendship. And this person lives across the street from me. And like part of you just wants to be like, oh, like you just want to like oh, that was you, like you want to be like, fuck, like, I just want you to know how sorry I still am, and like how terrible, like it's still like guilt has an appetite, man, and that shit will eat you up. And that's where forgiving yourself kind of like is like the Rolaids to that. It's like the Rolaids or like the Tums or what have you. I'm like, I have reached out in the past before to no answer, but it's like that's all I can do, and it's like, fuck, I fucked that up. But once again, we're saying got to learn from it so that you don't do things like that again.
Absolutely.
I think that's the biggest thing, right? It's like that's where it's like with when anyone, like whether it's comedy or otherwise, like these guys like fuck up big time, they never take accountability. It's like, right? It's like, I'm going to disappear for a year and then I'll come back and then maybe everyone kind of forgets about it. And this is, I don't want to run away from shit. I did that. I've done that for so long. It's like, if I see like the problem, I'm fucking running at you like Juggernaut style with my head down. Like I want to.
You're the fucking Juggernaut.
Yeah, man.
You are, bro. And that's the thing, right? And that's why the Magneto conversation, it's like, that's why I feel like I was kind of drawn to you in that way. Like I was curious because I could sense that. You can sense it. Like they say, like real recognize real. You know what I mean? It's so funny, like in telling stories of things that like not your proudest moment. Last year I turned 31 and my wife and I have the same birthday. And this was like towards this like kind of like pushed me further into the direction of making a decision I recently made to stop drinking. Actually, it's been about 6 months.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, it's been 6 months.
Congratulations!
I actually quit smoking last year too. But thank you.
How do you feel?
I feel fantastic, man. Mentally, I feel better. There was no weight loss goal, or I feel like it was mostly just the way I felt about myself that was really getting. And it's like had to ask myself, like, what am I waiting for? Am I waiting for something crazy to happen for me to go, okay, now I need to stop? You know what I mean? So just like things were just happening too close together. Like, so I got this so it was my birthday, and my wife was like, what do you want for your birthday? And I was like, I want to get as drunk as I fucking want. It was in September. I want to get as drunk as I want without anybody saying anything about it. And realistically, read between the lines. It's right. Like, I don't want you to bother me about how fucking wasted I plan on being in front of our friends and family. Yeah. Right. And I was just obnoxious and rude and yelled at my wife in front of people and shit because I drank a full bottle of tequila straight up on the rocks by myself. Espelon. And
oh man, I mean, it's like, dude, I miss that shit so much because like my alcoholism got to the point where it's like I would order things double neat, but like throw them back like shots.
Yeah,
especially tequila and mezcal, man.
Yeah, it's easy, and it's just like, and I was like, and I'm yelling at my wife. It's her birthday too, and I'm just like, why did I only want to just be able to do this without consequences, right? Like, and then I started just really reflecting on, and then after that, there was just like a couple, up until November, just I was still doing it, still coming home and just getting worse and worse. And I think COVID and being in quarantine kind of really made a lot of people look at themselves in a way where it was just like, yo, man, like you kind of got to look at yourself through a different lens because you weren't distracted by having to be in your regular grind of going to work and coming home and getting ready for the next day and showing up to wherever your extracurricular activities are and popping into your local bar and seeing all your friends. Like, you were like, oh, I just sit here and knock back a fucking case of beer every fucking night and what am I celebrating, And it's like, I've been doing this for a long time. And so when I saw that your thing about being 2 years sober today, I was really touched by it because I just thought like, yo, man, people, especially people that like you used to party with and hang out with and you still have good relationships with them. It's like, sometimes it's hard for other people to like let that era go, even if it's for the better.
Like the I peaked in high school type of situation.
Yeah, it's like you can do that and that's cool, but like for me, like you said, like you don't know what's going on between my ears. So this is actually a decision that's better for me.
Dude, I'm so proud of you that you were self-aware to learn that. Because like I unfortunately had to learn the hard way. Like, but dude, the thing about being a drug addict is it wasn't even about like most of the time when I was getting high, it wasn't with people in my circle. I was getting high with fucking strangers.
Oh yeah.
People that like I had no idea who they were, nothing about them. I have endless numbers in my phone of people that I don't know. Just like all sorts of stuff like that. And like so you were saying where it's like that's the worst feeling, right? Is like not only are it's like, am I doing this to myself? You're doing it to the person that you're doing it to your best friend, to your wife, to your queen.
It's like, easier. It's easier to treat your people you love like shit. It's way easier.
Yeah, dude. Like my wife, she is stuck with me more like when she shouldn't have. More than enough reasons to like walk away. And it's great because like I don't like need to like walk around with a compass. Like my fucking true north is in my bed next to me. Yeah. So like one funny story. I mean at the like it's kind of fucked up, but it's funny now looking back at it. So like I used to do this routinely, man. Like I would get back from the city, cop another bag, get like belligerently like coked out to the point where I would have to just like do laps walking around Jersey City to like be able to like come down and go home. So I would routinely come home at 5-6 in the morning. My wife would be worried that I was dead or something like that. And one night she calls me, it's like 2. She's like, Gary, where the fuck are you? And I was outside about to come up, but I saw this black cat, this cute little cat. We love cats, right? So I'm like, all right, listen. I see this fucking cat. But if I can catch it, it's a stray cat. Can I bring it upstairs? Can we like? She's like, whatever. Just come home. Like 3:30. Gary, where the fuck are you? I'm like, I can't catch this thing. It's just like every time I'm about to get it, it just keeps going away. Gotta go. So like it's like 5:30 finally, right? And I come in and she's like, dude, where the fuck were you? And I'm like, Mare, I really tried. I just couldn't catch this cat. But like, look, like I'm not lying to you. I swear to God, I'm not lying. I wasn't doing anything bad. I was really trying to rescue this cat. Look, here's my phone. It's on video. And she's like half awake, obviously. She's looking at the phone. And she's like, Gary, this isn't a cat. You've been chasing around a black plastic bag all night.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Get your ass on the couch, go to fucking sleep, and we'll talk tomorrow. And dude, I'm looking at it. And I was chasing around a black plastic bag all night, thinking it was a fucking cat, man.
Bro, man. Yeah.
And even still, dude, I didn't learn my lesson. Because it's like when you are like, and that's the fucking like thing with addiction or even drinking. It's like when you think you have a control on it, you're not. It's like you're walking on a tightrope, but it's not tightrope. It's a tightrope made of fucking dental floss.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And
so
you can flip the story in your mind to be like, I mean, that's kind of funny, right? And it is funny. It's funny when you go the next day and you tell the story to your friends and you're like, yo, this is what happened, and you're all laughing about it while you're doing it again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's messed up stuff. But like I like to segue, and I guess like was all of this heady stuff, like because we've been chopping it up for a little bit. Like we got to at least talk about comics at some point.
We really do. We should get into it.
I keep referring to Juggernaut. So like what is your, and he's not even like Magneto is certainly my favorite villain. Who is your favorite villain? And then like we'll talk about like I'm just curious to find out who your favorite like heroes and villains are, because I feel like that tells you a bit about a person.
My favorite villain, damn. I kind of in Marvel.
It could be whatever.
You know, it's really weird because I never really thought about my favorite villain. I really like what the MCU did with Thanos. You know, I liked how he kind of came in and just had this objective and nothing was going to stop him, because I always gravitate to that person who's like just fucking unstoppable. Like it literally took, like they had to jump him and it was still hard, you know? But
not only that, but like it makes for a compelling villain, like because he genuinely believes that what he's doing is right.
Yeah. So it's like, is he? I mean, you could be on that side of the argument, and I think that's beautiful because how difficult is it to have a conversation with somebody who has a different opinion than you, and they like.
Well, this is where we're at right now. Sorry to interrupt you in society, right? It's like you can't have discourse with someone and like a friendly argument or like disagree and like just have a debate. If it's like if someone has an opinion or if I have an opinion that you don't agree with, it's like fuck you, you're done, you're a shit person, like all that stuff, and like just the extremism in which people react. And granted, like we're still in a pandemic, so like everything, emotions, tension, all that stuff is heightened.
Oh yeah.
But still, it's like like being able to see, like I think that's how you become a good listener and a good friend. It's like seeing things from different points of view. Like my best friend, like we are the total opposite opinion wise, what we like, careers, all that stuff. But that's what I like. We appreciate is when you can appreciate like even the things that are different about someone that you might not necessarily agree with. That's part of what makes them them.
Yeah. That's part of what makes them them, and honestly, that's part of maturity. Like being able to go, I don't have to agree with that, but I don't feel any differently towards you. I mean, like unless you started saying that you are gonna fucking just start walking around kicking pregnant women in the stomach just because they're pregnant. I mean, that's extreme, but you know what I mean. Like, if you just have a different opinion than me, whatever, man, that's cool. I'm not mad at you. I just actually sometimes I find it even it's interesting that you feel that way. But that's why I think Thanos was so dope because he felt like he was on his mission, and he did it. He like succeeded, and I thought that was cool. But growing up, and I didn't understand this until I got older, but I felt like Norman Osborn was a really good villain because I never looked at Magneto as a villain.
That's a fair point as well. He's like an anti-hero essentially, but like probably right. Our affinity for Norman Osborn, as I'm sure we all kind of grew up watching those cartoons on Fox. Like that was my introduction to comics, like Spider-Man, X-Men, and just like he was like a true villain, where like he was just a psychotic guy, and like he's definitely like there's those good episodes, and also in the comics where he's aware that like this serum has taken over his identity and who he is, and like he tries to fight it, but ultimately like that wins out. And also he just like the Goblin Glider, all the pumpkin bombs, they were just like such a fucking dope array of weapons that he had to choose from.
I like themes, you know what I mean? He's the Hobgoblin, he's got these little pumpkin, he's got a whole thing. Even his glider was cool. And he was just kind of a prick, He was what a villain is supposed to be. You get annoyed and upset when they show up. When that guy shows up to the party, you're like, oh, fuck, it's him. Like
it's Norman Osborn.
It's Norman Osborn, and he was just also, he was a suit. You know what I mean? You're looking at this guy, he's a business guy, he's got money, he's fucking, like, he's just a corporate asshole. And that's why I think I think he's a great bad guy.
I like that. All right. On the flip side, like, what are some of your favorite comic book characters that are heroes?
I have always been a huge Spider-Man guy. Because like we had the cartoon growing up, and that was cool. I also, it's funny. I didn't actually appreciate Captain America until the MCU. What they did with him, I thought they made him way more interesting because I never really, he wasn't really like in our time. I feel like he was kind of boring, and then they made him,
he's like a guy that's been frozen in ice for 70 years, so his like opinion on things and his values are that of our grandparents,
yeah, he's like the definition of old school. So Spider-Man was always my guy, and I just liked his story. I like that he, because I kind of always wanted to see like, all right, he's young, he's got these powers all of a sudden, he's got people that he cares about, so he's got to have a secret identity to protect his family. he's in love with this girl, but his relationship's never gonna. All that like unrequited shit that was happening with Peter Parker, I just
well, also
I
just
ate
like
that shit
right,
up.
which great about him is just like the duality of like here he is like this superhero that is like fucking got Spidey sense and all this stuff, and it's like, but he's still just a kid in high school that like really doesn't have that much confidence. Like all of his insecurities are no different than like what we go through, and that's what I think made him so relatable as a young kid. Is that like we all feel like that, except not all of us are able to fucking shoot webs out of our hands.
Yeah, exactly. That would be fucking dope. Who do you like though, villain and hero?
Let's see. For villain, he's like a lesser known one. I really hope he shows up in the new X-Men movies because I think he would be a perfect villain. His name is Arcade.
Okay.
And he is basically like an assassin, but he's like a total like maniac where it's like one of those like rich guy assassins. But like his whole thing is he doesn't just kill people. Like he has like this theme park called Murder World. So he designs these
insane.
death contraptions. So like could you like I just can't like how cool it would be is like usually like, you know, he kidnaps these guys like in the comics, so it's like the X-Men, in order to save whomever, it's like they got to go through like imagine an amusement park filled with fucking like murderous weapons.
Yeah, everything can kill you.
Yeah, it's just like it's a cool thing, and also like just like the whole theme park concept is like I just think it's such a cool way to present like instead of like just a guy that like has knives or does whatever, it's like he is like methodically trying to like kill you these ways.
He's almost like Jigsaw. It's like if Jigsaw owned Action Park.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Action Park?
Except he didn't need to rig anything in Action Park because it was fucking Murder World.
Yeah.
That place is fucking dangerous, man.
For real.
But that was the most fun part about it, was like going on a Tarzan swing being like, I could fucking like not come out on the other side of this shit.
Bro, that's so crazy. I actually had a memory. You ever have an old memory just pop into your head and you're like, that you forgot about? Yo, when I was 10 years old, I dove into a fucking 3-foot pool and banged my head so hard on the bottom. And I was like, yo, man, I could be paralyzed right now.
Yeah. I mean, all the time you have the like those like flash memories. But like, yeah, like Spider-Man 2, obviously growing up, and Gambit was like a big one growing up.
Gambit's cool, but man. Like, Gambit was cool.
Yeah, he was, you know what it was? It was just like when you're like a chubby like kid and it's like you don't feel cool. It's like, oh man, here's this guy with this like Asian accent, and it was just like, it was just so cool. But now as I've gotten older, I would say my two favorite are Daredevil and Silver Surfer.
I love Silver Surfer too.
Yeah, dude, just like that whole, like, you know, the, like, responsibility of, like, what he does is he essentially sacrifices himself, right, to save his planet and his lover, and in doing so, he becomes this guy's, like, Galactus's basically, like, you know, bitch, and he has all of these powers that he can literally, the power cosmic, he can literally do anything, but at the end of the day, he has to, like, surf the skies alone. And just like what like a terrible burden that is to like be able to do all these things, but you're alone. I just find that as an adult, I just find that really cool. And with Daredevil, it's like same thing. It's like he got his powers because he saved someone, and what does life do? It blinded him for it.
No good deed goes unpunished.
No good deed goes unpunished, and like instead, like what does he do? Like he becomes this like badass ninja, but also he's a fucking lawyer that tries to help people that don't have the means to help themselves. And I'm not very religious. The best way I could equate like his Catholic guilt is like white guilt. Like white, we're just guilty motherfuckers.
Yeah, he's got
so that guilt of like all those things that you do weighing on your conscience, and like literally the symbolism of the scales of justice, right? Or like his two lives. And like how do you balance that is just like really cool to me. I really hope that, I think Charlie Cox is coming back to play Daredevil in the new Spider-Man movie.
Oh, nice.
I have a feeling he's gonna like play his lawyer, because like the second one ends Far From Home, like where J. Jonah Jameson outs him.
Yeah.
So like he's like, you know, I'm imagining that's where it's gonna go. Like that one, I feel like I miss like the two things. Not I don't miss going to movies most. Like two things I miss most is performing, but like the thing I miss hands down the most is just like live music, being around other people. Like I just can't imagine that shared experience, because it's gonna happen in this Spider-Man movie, dude. Where in one shot it's gonna be Andrew Garfield swinging, fucking Tobey Maguire swinging, Tom Holland swinging, and it's all these Spider-Men like that literally have been around like for most of our lives, like since we were teenagers. It's like a you ever see that meme where it's Dana White, the UFC guy, and it's like superimposed, and he has this look on his face like he just nutted.
Yes.
And there's a washing machine behind him, and it just says like the load is turned all the way up.
Yes,
that's gonna
absolutely.
Be anybody who loves the MCU. It's gonna be like that, and like we've been super spoiled during this pandemic. Like WandaVision was fantastic.
WandaVision was great. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But like,
and then so to come up from that, right, is like with WandaVision. It's like I was expecting Falcon and Winter Soldier to be a buddy comedy, and God damn, was it so much more? It is definitely. It's not. It's like not arguably. It's definitely the most powerful thing Marvel has done. You know, everything like the way they handled like with Isaiah Bradley and just like the transformation of Sam Wilson from Falcon to Captain America got fucking chills.
Yeah, they did it. They did it really well. When
you see him the first time, it's just it was really, really cool and exciting to see. Like they don't fucking miss, man. They really don't miss.
They don't miss. It was appropriate. I actually thought WandaVision was gonna be like a House of M kind of situation, but yeah, they really killed it. And I like in Falcon and the Winter Soldier how they touched on social issues. I like the way they did it, and it wasn't corny. It wasn't super heavy. Even like the little shit, like the kid going, "Oh, what's up, Black Falcon?" And he's like, "Why? Why am I Black Falcon? Because I'm black."
Yeah, he's like, "I'm fucking Captain America." And I'm like, it is like,
but it's real though. But that's how people talk too, though. Like if you go somewhere, it's like, well, "What's up, Black Falcon?" Like I knew two kids named Rob. One was Black Rob, and the other one was Rob, because one was black. Like that's just how people talk. So the way they like made it so much more true to real life I thought that was excellent.
Well, like, dude, the fucking so far for me, Phase 4 is all about mental health. WandaVision was like it's a show about grief. You know, that's pretty much what it was. And yeah, is it happening in a superhero world with all that stuff? Absolutely. But we can totally relate to what that is like our own personal vision or our losses. And how you try and put all that stuff back together. Whereas with, you know, Falcon and Winter Soldier, you're seeing not only, because that's the biggest thing as an adult, right? You're seeing all these movies and it's like, all this collateral damage. It's like, well, fuck, how, like, I know the superheroes are doing all this shit, but it's like, to live in this reality, like, the way they handled, like, people coming from back from the blip and feeling displaced. And, like, you know, essentially, like, the world forgot about you. And like, how do those people deal with that, and the PTSD that Bucky has, and like, you know, we're talking about like you're quitting drinking, like me doing my thing where it's like making amends with that, and then Sam making amends with the fact that like he does have like there's a reason why Steve gave him that shield. He is Captain America, and there are some things like whether you can't run away from, and it was just so cool for him to like kind of grow in, like have a coming of age moment where he grows into that. It was really, really inspiring.
Also him having to, like we talked about earlier, go from doubting himself and being afraid and like to believing that he actually could do it, because he had to get there. It wasn't like Bucky like being like, "Yo man, what are you doing? Like you can do this shit." He gave it to you. It was like he needed to get there on his own, and it was nice to see him get there. And also like what they did with Zemo too.
Club Zemo.
Club Zemo.
Did you see that they released the Zemo cut?
No.
Where it's like, when he's dancing in the club, Daniel Bruhl, the guy that plays him, was like, yeah, I was improvising that. And I was just like, when the music was on, I was just feeling it and dancing. And then like a week later, they released like an extended cut where it's just him dancing in the club.
That's actually great. I got to see that.
Yeah, so like you nailed it too. Like with Zemo, where it's like, it's just like Thanos, where it's like you understand his motivations for why he's doing what he's doing. Like this is a guy that lost his family because of this shit. Where it's like there's like the cool thing where it's like not cool, but like where he's talking about the memorial in Sokovia. He's like, have you guys visited? Like, of course you didn't, because you
right.
The superheroes just eat the cookies. They don't think about the crumbs that are on the floor afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yep, and that's what it is. And to bring it like full circle, I mean, thinking about and like to bring it to today and how we are and how having a discourse with someone and we don't know what people are going through and all these things we talked about. It kind of like shows you it, like they did a really good job of illustrating how listening to someone else's perspective and someone else's point of view on what their motives are, it kind of help you. We don't do it, and showing these people who are kind of like bumping heads with each other, saying why they're doing what they're doing, and they're different. They have different points of view about it, and just seeing them being able to come together and just fucking work together anyway, like that shit's important, man. And I hate you ever about to go into a group of people and you're like, the people in this group might feel a way about something, or even might feel a way about like the way you talk about something because they're offended by it or whatever. And you're just like, the reason why I'm like, I do this or I'm like this is for my own personal reasons, and it has nothing, and I'm not trying to fight you. This is just my own, like, I just believe this and I feel like this. It is not a personal attack against you. And I think Marvel did a really good job with that. I think they did a great job with that in the series. I mean, like, look at Wanda in WandaVision. She made mistakes and she kind of, fucked up a whole bunch of people and had all these people, under her control and shit like that. But she had reasons why she was doing it, whether they were right or wrong. I mean, like, people don't just do shit for no reason.
Well, like, I mean, you have to put it this way, right? It's like, imagine you lose your wife. You would do anything to get her back. Absolutely anything. And if some people might get hurt in the process, then so be it. But the cool thing about that is where it's like, that's why it handles all the stages of grief. Because she comes to the acceptance that it's like she has to let them go. And that's the only way for all this to kind of end, is if she you don't move on, because you like in life, like, you always keep the memory of people that you lose in your hearts. But it's like, I can't be, my grief has now become selfish, and other people are suffering because of that. And it doesn't help the healing process.
Yeah.
Like, all that stuff is just like, they really, I wish DC had like a Kevin Feige, whatever you want, however you say his name.
I think it is Feige. I think you're right.
Yeah. It's like, he definitely, like, we're going to be up to our ears in Marvel stuff until we die.
Which is great. Like, which is great.
Yeah, between that and Star Wars, it's like fucking gimme. So it's just cool. It's just really cool to see all this stuff. And like during all this, like, because like I feel like we're kind of winding down, And I think this is like the important thing is, I hope during this pandemic, man, like, people, entertainers and non-entertainers alike, realize the importance and the value of entertainment, whether it's a podcast, whether it's minute-long Instagram videos, whether it's TV shows, because that has allowed us to, like, simultaneously escape reality and find it at the same time, and let you know that, like, oh man, I laughed. I was entertained. Like this stuff, like, believe it or not, they're little like micro doses of like serotonin to like get you through, to quote Prince, like this crazy thing we call life.
Oh yeah. Nice Prince quote.
Yeah, dude. But like, not only to value that, but like to value ourselves. Like,
oh yeah.
For the most part, I don't plan on ever doing anything again for free anymore as an actor, and like, just because like it's like, oh, like it pays an experience, or like realizing your worth, and that like that's my biggest hope for everybody during this, right? Is like that people come out of this holding on to the things that they learned. And like, you know, people will say like, you know, it's okay to like not be okay, and like that's cool, or it's like it's okay to like not have learned anything during this, and I strongly disagree with. But like we were saying, if I say that out loud, it's like, oh, I don't care. Like, am I embarrassed? Should I be ashamed to say that like this pandemic does suck? It absolutely sucks. But it's helped me. It's like, oh
yeah.
Like I've thrived during this because I've grown more in like the past year, like intellectually, emotionally, career wise. Like, why should I be or when anybody, like, why should people be like ashamed or feel guilty to express their happiness?
Yeah, you know? It's almost like encouraged to talk about how bummed out and sad you are all the time. When you start talking about how happy you are, people don't seem to care for it as much. Yeah.
Because you know what? Like, this is my example for that, where it's like skinny white girls, right? They're the fucking worst. But they are the people I feel bad for the most. Because now you're seeing such body positivity, where like plus size people posting thirst trap pictures, just like showing how like happy they are with themselves. These and then in turn, like, not just skinny white girls, but like people are so fucking mean to like in the comment section wherever, and that just comes from like a jealousy thing, right? Like if you're skinny like supermodel white girl, it's like, oh, I've lived my whole life, I've had to adjust my whole life to being and looking perfect. Like, I've had to work on this, maybe I starve myself, do whatever, and like I still don't feel that way about myself. I still don't feel comfortable in my own skin. When you see like these like anybody that's not like that celebrating themselves, the meanness comes from these people are so fucking mad that these people are just happy with who they are, and like comfortable with who they are in their own skin. It eats people alive. I think that's where all the meanness comes from. It eats people alive, that it's like, fuck, I've been trying my whole life to do this, and it's like I still can't stand myself, or I still don't feel comfortable in my skin. So you know what? It'll make me feel better if I fucking shit on someone else, because that kind of like fans my insecurity onto all that stuff.
Well, yeah, and
it's fucked up, man.
It is fucked. You know, they say like shitting on somebody else says less about them and more about you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a fuck.
At the end of the day, you got to wipe your ass, man. And there's a lot of people walking around with some dirty fucking asses.
Some people walking around with dirty asses, bro. Yo, and at the end of the day, too, I operate in a way where I take care of the people around me, and I show love to the people I love. I support the people I support the people I want to support, and nothing else that someone else does that's good for them or bad for them, for that matter, really offends me, unless it's like in my space. It's like people really take what strangers do so personally. It's sad. It's like a sad way to live.
You know, dude, it really, really isn't, which is like why it goes back to the being nice thing. It's like, I don't have to fucking, there's no like, I know you're living in your own like little hell, and like I like, you just feel bad for those people. And then like some people are like you, where you're aware of like what these things that you're doing yourself, right? And it's like, okay, I'm gonna make these changes because I know what's going on. Or in my case, it's like you almost lose everything, and you like, that's how you have to learn your lesson. But some people don't, like, you know, go through life just like they never get that, and it's a shame.
It's a shame, you know. I wish those people well. I wish them well.
Yeah, just wash your ass.
But yeah, man, just go wash your ass. It's easy. They got fucking. But don't stick hand sanitizer in there. But no. So Gary, we're getting low on time. But first of all, I want to say thank you, and I want to ask you one more question.
Yeah.
What is the best piece of advice that you've ever gotten?
Oh man.
Easy one, something that you think about all the time.
Easy one. I'll say this because this is the most recent thing in my head. A mutual friend of ours, Mark Stetson. You're friends with Mark, right?
I do have Mark Stetson, great guy.
He's a hell of a fucking human being and super talented. Anyways,
he's also got dreamy eyes.
He does, and great eyebrows and great hair, and it's like you get lost in him. You know, I'm gonna die. Stetson, you're listening. I'm gonna dive in those eyes next time I see you.
Yeah.
Like he works for Mashable, and he's been doing some really great work for them. And he was lucky enough to interview the cast of Coming to America 2. So right in the beginning of the interview, he's talking to Tracy Morgan, and he's like, I've been doing comedy for like a little over 10 years, and Tracy Morgan's like, don't do it. And Mark is just like, what? He's like, do you want to do And I'm not going to fucking butcher a Tracy Morgan.
I was waiting for it.
You know what, man? I'm a big believer. I don't like doing impressions of like non-white people. I think can be a little like offensive. Granted, as I'm saying this, I do a Pitbull impression.
If it's accurate, if it's like spot on, you know what I mean? Like if you sound exactly like Tracy Morgan, you know what I mean? I couldn't see how that would be offensive, but somebody would find a way to call it offensive, so I get it.
Yeah. So anyways, like the moral of the story is he says to Marcus, like, do you want to do comedy or do you want to be funny? Because anybody can do comedy, but not everybody that does comedy is actually funny. And it's so fucking true.
So true.
And he said, like, and you know what, like, the simple trick to just, like, being funny is? Talk your shit. Tell your truth. Because that is what's funny. And, like, dude, I'm going to start doing stand-up when all this is over. And even at 37, it's like, it's not, for me, like, and another thing, it's never too late. But, like, the reason why I never did it and I hid behind characters and improv and sketch was because I was always so uncomfortable about talking about the truth and talking about my life. But now I'm realizing, like, the talking about it, even with you on a podcast or whether it's on stage, that's all part of, like, the healing process, man.
Oh, yeah, it's catharsis.
It's absolutely cathartic. So thank you for having me on today, because it's like now I can skip therapy this week.
Yes.
You saved me a little bit of money. But, like, yeah, seriously, man, it's like, don't think it like, I hate when people are like everyone says, I'm a comedian. It's like, sure, but are you actually funny? And the answer in most cases, unfortunately, is no. And I think part of that is because people could have, like, that funniness, but it's like, comedy audiences are smart, man. They can, like, I can look, like, watch something and look into someone's eyes and be like, all right, I'm turning this off. You're not committing to it. This is lazy.
Oh, yeah.
Or, like, yeah. Or this is, like, this doesn't, like, come off as, and you don't have to be talking about personal stuff, but, like, this doesn't come off as an honest comedy to me.
Yeah.
Like, if that makes any sense.
No, I heard Bill Burr say one time, I love Bill Burr. I heard him say one time, he was like, if you can tell that the person who's up and doing their set, if you could tell that they think what they're talking about is funny, if they believe it's funny and it's real and it's true, then people are gonna like that rather than anything else. Like, authenticity comes through, right?
Absolutely. And there's different levels and ways to do that, and I think like, that's where, like, the fearlessness comes from, right? It's just like, people don't realize the ultimate gambler in life is not someone who bets on fucking baseball games and dog races. We gamble with our lives every fucking day.
Oh, every day.
You owe it to yourself to fucking get after it, because if we, like, you know, thankfully I learned this shit getting sober, but it was doubled down on during this pandemic, where, like, how precious and how short life is, and how much your mental health, your happiness is at a premium. You owe it to yourself to do this. And it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be fancy. Just make sure it's funny. Make sure you learn from it. Like, get your swings in. Don't be afraid to put shit out and think that someone's not gonna like it. Newsflash: you're never gonna please everybody. There will always be someone that like doesn't like what you're doing. But you know who has to like it? Not just has to like it, has to love it. Is you, motherfucker.
Wise words from a wise man. Gary, thank you so much. Please tell my listeners where they can find you, and if you got any shows coming up, which we do have a show coming up that we're actually in together.
I'm so excited for that. And we'll talk when we get it off the air, because I want to talk just like for a couple minutes about that. But I'm only on Instagram at DeNoia. So it's Paranoia, but with a D-E in the middle. So DeNoia. Very accurate, talking about authenticity, because I'm always paranoid. And I post stuff all the time, and I genuinely, it's like, it's good shit. And I like, there's not just like comedy videos. Like, I post songs that I like every day, just shit that like, it's like looking at the inside of my head. And, yeah, so that's where you can find me. I'm doing a show on some app in a couple of weeks, Assemble Co. But like, I'll post all that. I don't even want to talk about that right now. I'll worry about that when it comes. I'm all about eyes forward. Just find me on Instagram. I'm like, you can find everything you want to know there.
Boom. Thank you so much.
And Old School Sketch Show is May. I don't know the date, but Corey and I are an Old School Sketch Show. I've never got the chance to work with you before. I'm chomping at the bit. Like, seriously, it's like, I can't wait to like write stuff. Like, my wheels are turning, and I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yo, likewise, man. I actually got some ideas, and I've been like jotting notes down for the past couple of days too. So stuff that I'm laughing at to myself, which maybe I can, we'll see how it works out. But you know how that goes. But yeah, man, I'm super excited to work with you as well. And thanks a million for being on the show.
One thing I gotta say, Corey. Last thing, a lot of people do podcasts. I don't listen to most of them. I do listen to yours. I think what you're doing is great. I think there's something like very like I could listen to your podcast and get to, like, I know who you are, and I think you're doing a great job, man. Keep it up. It's certainly it is a needle in a sea of haystacks.
Wow.
And it's cool to you help me, get through my mornings, whether I'm like clean, like every morning you wake up, it's like, how are there dishes in the sink again? I just did this. Let me pop on this podcast and it'll make it a little bit easier. So thank you for, the things that you do. And like, this is generally, I feel like, the catalyst for hopefully, a friendship to where we get to bro out more together. And,
absolutely, bro.
Yeah. So thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. Thanks for the kind words. We'll all see you guys soon, and follow Gary on social media, and stay tuned because Old School Sketch Show is coming soon. Take care of yourselves. Take care of the people you love. We're out of here. Later.